In the age of sail, every pirate dreamed of finding a map, one that could lead them to gold beyond imagination. But not all treasures were meant to be found. Some maps led only to madness, death, and legends that still whisper across the waves. The story begins with a storm, a ship shattered by thunder and waves, its wreckage found drifting near the coast of Tortuga. Among the debris was a single item that survived the sea, a parchment sealed in oilskin, etched with strange markings. The sailors who found it brought it to shore, thinking they had uncovered a key to fortune. They were wrong. The map's surface was unlike anything they'd seen. Ink that shimmered green in the dark, landmarks that shifted when held to the light. At its center, a blood-red X burned like fire under the lantern. Beneath it, words written in a language no one could read, except for one line scrawled in English: "Those who follow, do not return." Still, pirates being pirates, greed drowned out fear. Captains fought over the parchment, offering their ships and souls to possess it. But one by one, each man who touched the map met a strange fate, vanishing at sea, driven mad, or found dead with the same symbols carved into their skin. Some said the map was cursed. Others believed it wasn't drawn by human hands at all. Whatever truth lay within its lines, one thing was certain. The map didn't lead to fortune. It led to a place no sane man ever wished to find. This is the story of the treasure that promised death instead of gold, and the map that no one should have followed. The map's true story began long before that storm. It belonged to a man feared across the seas, Captain Nathaniel Briggs, a pirate whose greed was matched only by his cruelty. In the 1685, Briggs disappeared while hunting for a Spanish treasure fleet near the Yucatan coast. When his ship was later found adrift with no crew aboard, the only thing left behind was that strange map sealed in his cabin. Sailors who boarded the derelict vessel said the ship felt wrong. Air thick like smoke, decks stained black, lanterns still burning though the oil was long gone. In the captain's quarters, the table was covered in carvings, circles, crosses, and strange symbols etched into the wood. The map lay at the center, pressed flat beneath a dagger driven deep through its heart. One sailor, overcome by greed, pulled the dagger free. He folded the map and took it with him, believing he'd found his fortune. But by the time their own ship reached port, the man was dead, eyes wide open, skin cold as ice. The crew panicked and threw the map overboard, but the sea refused to take it. Waves carried it back, washing it onto the deck again and again. Eventually, word of the cursed parchment reached other pirates. Some laughed at the superstition, others feared it, but all who touched it met strange fates. A French privateer went blind after staring too long at its markings. A Spanish captain burned his ship after claiming he saw faces moving within its lines. Years passed, and the map changed hands countless times, always returning, always surviving. It was as if the parchment itself wanted to be found, but by whom no one could say. The curse of the map didn't stop with the death of the first sailor. It spread like wildfire across the Caribbean, infecting all who came into contact with the strange parchment. Rumors of its power traveled fast, whispering through taverns carried on the wind, crossing pirate fleets like a plague. Pirates fought over it, stole it, hid it. But each man who laid his hands on the map suffered the same terrible fate. There was the tale of Black Peter, a ruthless pirate captain who believed in nothing but gold. He laughed off the superstitions surrounding the map, calling it a mere trick. But when his first mate, Caleb, a man loyal to a fault, took the map in his hands, something changed. Caleb's eyes went wide, his body stiffened, and he suddenly collapsed on the deck. His last words were not a curse, but a warning. "It's alive." The crew watched as Caleb's body was consumed by a strange shadow. His limbs twisted unnaturally before he died. Afterward, a cold wind swept through the ship, and Black Peter's crew started seeing things. Faces in the rigging, voices on the wind. One by one, men disappeared, their bodies never found. Some say it was the curse of the map. Others believe that it awakened an ancient evil bound to the treasure it led to. Still, no one dared to throw it overboard, for the map always returned. One crew even set fire to it, watching in horror as the flames died without touching it. The parchment remained unburned, not a single mark on it. The question was no longer what treasure the map led to. It was what would happen when it was opened. The map had claimed so many lives, yet it still called to those hungry for treasure. By the time Captain Samuel Reed and his crew set sail in 1714, the curse of the map had become a legend, one whispered among the bravest and most foolish pirates. Reed, known for his ruthlessness and greed, believed that he was different. He scoffed at the stories of ghostly faces and cursed winds. He had sailed through storms and survived mutinies. A cursed map was nothing. At first, the journey was calm. The ship, the Black Harbinger, cut through the waves, the crew working tirelessly to reach the island the map promised. The wind was steady, the skies clear. But when they entered the waters marked by the map, everything changed.
What is that thing?
The sea grew unnaturally cold. The ship creaked and groaned under strange pressures, as if the ocean itself was trying to drag them under. The crew grew uneasy as whispers spread among them. One man had seen strange lights flicker beneath the waves. Others swore they heard a woman's voice calling them from the deep. Reed dismissed their fears, but as the days passed, more crewmen began to vanish. They went to sleep, and in the morning, they were gone, leaving nothing but empty hammocks and disturbed air.
Do you hear that?
With each disappearance, Reed's resolve weakened. He demanded they push forward, for the treasure was near. But the island that lay ahead was not the golden paradise the map had promised. It was something darker, something that had been waiting for centuries. The final destination was within sight, but it wasn't just treasure that awaited them. It was something far worse. The island was not what they expected. It loomed out of the fog like a twisted dream. Jagged cliffs, blackened trees, and no sign of life. Yet something about it beckoned them. The treasure that the map had promised lay within, hidden deep in the island's heart. Captain Reed ordered the crew to anchor near the shore, but as they disembarked, the ship seemed to groan in protest, as though unwilling to leave the waters. The crew, now thinning after days of fear and loss, followed the captain into the dense jungle. Strange noises echoed from all directions, growls, whispers, and a deep, unsettling hum that seemed to vibrate through the earth itself. They stumbled upon a stone altar, carved with symbols that no one could decipher. It stood at the center of a clearing, surrounded by ancient ruins and rotting bones. Atop the altar was a chest, covered in moss and vines, yet radiating an unnatural glow. The treasure was there, but it was not what they expected. As the pirates began to open the chest, a blinding light erupted from within, followed by a horrific, guttural roar. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and a dark figure emerged from the shadows. A massive, skeletal form, its eyes glowing like embers. The crew screamed in terror, realizing that the treasure was not gold. It was a curse. The chest had been a prison, and now the thing trapped inside had been freed. As the crew scattered, trying to flee, the curse took its toll. One by one, they were dragged back to the altar, consumed by shadows that seemed to have a life of their own. The chest was empty once again, but the island's true treasure, the unspeakable evil, was awakened. Captain Reed was the last to fall. His screams were swallowed by the jungle, and his ship was left to rot on the shore. The treasure had claimed them all. Few pirates returned from the cursed island, and fewer still could ever speak of what had happened. The few that did were broken men, haunted by nightmares, scarred beyond recognition, and whispering tales no one wanted to believe. One of the first to return was Morris, the ship's carpenter. When he stumbled into port, his hands were trembling, his hair turned white as snow, and his eyes stared blankly into the horizon. He could not speak at first. When he finally opened his mouth, he only muttered, "It follows?" The town's tavern grew silent as he described the island. Not the treasure, but the thing that lived there. He spoke of shadowy creatures, of whispers in the wind, and of an ancient evil that had awakened when the chest was opened. "We freed it," he said, his voice breaking. "We awoke it." Morris lived only a few more weeks. The madness overtook him, and he died in his sleep, his face frozen in a scream. They buried him near the sea, but no one dared to go near his grave. Next came Edgar, the ship's cook. He returned to port a month after Morris, his body gaunt and his mind fractured. Edgar's hands twitched constantly, as if he were feeling invisible chains tightening around him. He claimed that in the dead of night, the shadow would come for him. No one could explain what he meant. Days later, Edgar was found on the cliffs near the port, his body torn apart as if by claws. His eyes were wide with terror, and his mouth was filled with salt water. Finally, Captain Reed's ship was found drifting aimlessly off the coast, empty of crew, a dark and eerie silence surrounding it. When men boarded the ship, they found the captain's journal, pages stained with blood, with a single line at the end. "It's coming. It never leaves." The treasure had never been meant for men. It had been buried to keep them away, and it had followed them all back.